It's another Manly Monday, and this Manly Monday, my hair is really weird. I know it's drying funny, but here we go. Your low self-esteem is showing in these ways, and I'm talking about this because, oh my god, people are telling on themselves in the comments. Yeah, not everybody, obviously. But it's getting bad enough that I feel like we got to do a reset for everybody's benefit. So here we go. Help support this channel. Become a monthly patron. Patreon.com/Leanna K. Or buy a one-time Leanna Care session for someone who can use it but can't afford it. Coffee.com/Leanna K. This has come about based on the way things are discussed. And I've been reading responses, and the first thing that jumps to mind is like, this guy's self-esteem is so low, there's nowhere to start. So what's the first thing? The first thing will start off, maybe surprisingly, you need to sound smart. People with low self-esteem need to sound smart and often end up sounding dumber because of it. A person who is confident in their skills and intelligence and wisdom doesn't feel the need to sound smart. This is something that a very good writing mentor taught me. You don't need to use a 3-syllable word when a 1-syllable word will do. Sometimes the word stuff is the right word. I like stuff. Stuff. Just say stuff, right? You don't want to talk over someone's head. You want to talk to them. If you're not talking to them, you're not going to be particularly effective as a communicator, and showing off just makes you look insecure. So, there we go. The second thing, not being able to take compliments. And this is something I admit I'm still working on. I take so much abuse and junk that I have trouble letting the compliments in. And I know that I have taken too much crap when someone pays me a compliment and I realize it like the next day, right? Just too much. The next thing that I'm just checking my notes. I've lost my place. Okay. So the next thing that comes, and it's almost the opposite of not being able to take compliments. Not being able to admit you're wrong. And this is not being sorry. All right. You don't have to be sorry. You don't have to feel bad every time you're wrong about something. But if you go to the mat defending something that is just clearly not so, you are showing insecurity, because admitting you're wrong about a smaller point allows you to defend the larger point better. You seem more assured of yourself. If you go, okay, I'll give you that one. Main thing still applies, right? Not that difficult. You don't have to feel terrible. You don't have to make a big deal about it. Just make the correction, because secure people who like themselves can go, yeah, I messed that up. Another thing, which may sound weird, but another thing where your low self-esteem is showing is claiming to like criticism. No one likes criticism. It is scientifically impossible. It registers in the brain as pain. Some of us recognize that criticism is necessary, and so we've taught ourselves to listen to it, but it's painful. Now, not everything that some people claim is criticism is criticism. Sometimes it's just feedback, right? Sometimes it's just a different opinion. And sometimes you go, I don't care about what that person thinks. Like, criticism can sometimes not feel actively bad, but it never feels good. So saying, I actually like criticism. No, you don't. You're fronting. Okay? Your low self-esteem is showing, because if you have a decent amount of self-esteem, you can go, no, criticism hurts. Now, even though that is true, claiming to like criticism is an indication of low self-esteem, not being able to accept some criticism is also a sign of low self-esteem. And oh Lord, there's a lot of that out there, right? Some people cannot take any, and you don't have to agree with it, right? You can just go, okay, I see your point, right? There's people who think I'm annoying. There's people who think I'm a bitch. There's people who think I'm obnoxious. There's people, all these things. I don't, well, totally agree, but I accept that they believe this. That is the difference. And, you know, I'm trying to word this because sometimes it hurts at first, and so you can't accept the criticism at first. And then you realize they're right, and it's like, okay, I needed a minute. That's human. That's fine. That doesn't necessarily mean you have overall low self-esteem. It means that particular thing was a sensitive point. And that's a nice thing about having fairly healthy self-esteem, is you can go, why did that particular thing hit me so hard? Because normally I'm all right with this kind of feedback, right? And it's better if someone is kind about the criticism. If someone's just being an asshole, like, you can think maybe there's a point there, but you can dismiss the source of, look, do I want to please this asshole? No, not necessarily. Sometimes assholes have a point, but do you want to appeal to this person? No. And, you know, sometimes the right people criticizing you indicates you're on the right track, but those people are being assholes, and being around assholes is never fun, right? I think that made sense. If I didn't, feel free to criticize me. It happens all the time. And I'm getting ahead of myself. Another way your low self-esteem is showing is believing all criticism. What? I keep going, the thing about criticism. You notice these are all absolutes, and only a Sith deal in absolutes, right? If you can't accept any criticism, that's a problem. It's an absolute. It's an all or nothing, right? You can't accept it because all of it is too hard to take. But believing all of it is also an indication that you don't have the healthy self-esteem that you could go, okay, I see that. That, no, that is not true. And a lot of, you know, these online groups, especially some of these left-wing groups, make it a litmus test that if somebody says, oh, you're racist, right? Or if you're a misogynist, then you're a misogynist. It's always your identity, right? You are a racist or you are a misogynist, not that thing you said was, you know, here's the problem with it. And whenever I give that bit of feedback, I make sure I'm specific. Because, yeah, if I just go, well, you're racist, that is just something that you can immediately dismiss if you don't give an explanation for it, right? Saying a particular statement lands not great is different from going, I can see in your heart and you are a racist, right? That's the kind of criticism that you can just go, no, this person does not seem to be on my side, right? This is not somebody who's looking to help me here. This is just someone who's looking to tear me down or indoctrinate me. And in those cases, you can listen to what they're saying. You can hear me out. Like when Hassan Piker branded me a racist femcel and I had people tracking me down in Facebook messages to tell me I was a racist. And I was like, how? Okay, how am I a racist? You have my attention now. How am I a racist? Well, you are a racist because I feel that you are. Well, why do you feel that I am? Humoring them. And then they'd misquote me. You can dismiss that, right? I mean, that's the thing. I was open to accepting that I'd said something stupid. Fuck that guy. He himself has very real bigotries. But the just generalization of my character, I didn't feel the need to defend myself. I didn't feel the need to take it terribly seriously, but I did give them the opportunity to convince me. And that is where you want to be if you have a, fairly healthy sense of self. And you don't have to have a conversation with every person, right? If you're being dogpiled and you've had the same conversation with 10 different people, well, it's not authentic. It's a brigade. You can ignore the rest of them because it's going to be the same damn conversation. That's why, accepting some criticism is how you learn. Believing all criticism, you're not going to learn anything because you're going to go in circles. And it's further undermining your self-esteem to have to accept every external judgment that comes your way. Now, this might not be a surprise after the focus on criticism regarding low self-esteem showing. But a big way that people show low self-esteem is being unduly critical. Now, by unduly critical, it's not criticizing some things, because I do think that it's important, even with things you really, really like, to be able to go, this part ain't that great, but the rest of it's really good, so net positive. If you can find absolutely nothing good to say about something, you're not being objective, right? There's, any influencer, even the ones that got me branded a racist, they got something, right? Even if it's just their uncle's money. No, they put in the work and they've found their brand and they've cultivated an audience, for some odd reason, younger skewing viewers listen to a guy like Hassan. I wish he'd be more responsible about it, but him and his team built that brand. They know what works. Okay, respect there. Part of the reason I didn't take his shit was out of respect. And of course, then he blocked me, took a pot shot, but after unblocking me, then blocked me again, then pretended like it never happened. That I don't respect, right? I think he has pretty low self-esteem. And part of it is because he fucking criticizes. It's very rare I hear him say something good. A guy like Kai Cenat, he'll say things are good, right? I probably mispronounced his name. Canadian. But he can say things are good. Even Yahtzee occasionally says something's good. He likes Silent Hill too. And that's his whole shtick, is shitting on things. But even he can occasionally say something is good. And when you can't say something is good about something that, say a AAA video game, if the graphics are impressive, at least say that, right? Find something that works. Find one animation that you like. Find something, anything, right? To make sure you're being objective. Because if you just hate everything about something, it's an indication that you're not objective and you are responding to something about the work that's hitting an insecurity and is making you feel bad the way I felt so fucking triggered to the point of feeling abused by The Last of Us 2 back in the day. And even I could admit, graphically certain things were very impressive. Um, you know, some of the performances were quite good. Um, and I'm trying to think of anything. There were some cool ideas in that game. It was clearly just very overthought and trying too hard to railroad a point. There were little like technical things like arrows scattering on the ground when something got knocked over, or something like that. There were some cool technical things. They were there and gone. They didn't get used well, but there were some cool technical things in that game like that, like little details here and there that were really, really good. See, there we go. Even though I felt bludgeoned by that game, I can say what it did well. And if you're going around going, she's ugly or that's woke, you are telling the world how you talk to yourself. And the way you talk to yourself is exceptionally harsh. That's why you are tipping your hat that you have low self-esteem when you just shit on things. And I'm getting warm. But that's why you gotta watch it, right? I dunk on certain things as a joke, like my whole I hate The Sims thing from back in the day. I can even say positive things about The Sims. Like, it's very popular. They managed to cultivate a group of people who love that game. I get that it's like playing Dollhouse for grown-ups, and that's just not my thing, right? I just don't want people telling me what they do with their Sims because it is often terrifying. That's why I hate The Sims, what it brings out in people. And the constant negativity is another thing where it's just not necessary. And to me, it's, and this is just me being honest here. If you are constantly negative, if you are extremely critical, to me, it's not just weak logic. It's weakness. Strong people encourage the people around them. They don't just spend all their time tearing them down. Weak, insecure people make it their life's mission to destroy things. And even when I was very critical of The Last of Us 2, like there was a goddamn cross in the synagogue. And I got viciously attacked by Last of Us 2 fans for saying they used a church that was now a banquet hall as the reference for the synagogue. And I was walking around and found, like, okay, I looked at the windows, and I'm a bit of a nerd for religious iconography. So I looked at the windows. It's like, that's church. Those, like, irises, you don't see those in synagogues. And then I looked at something else, and there was other iconography that was very clearly Christian. And I said, okay, if this is a church, then the altar would be right around. And so I went to where it would be dead center and, the particular wall in the building opposite those windows, because churches are built based on a very particular layout that are not the same architectural numerology as synagogues are. And so right where the pulpit would be, under a beam, was a big old book, not the Torah scroll, a big old book with a cross coming out of it. And this apparently meant I hated women that I pointed this out. And it took them months to patch it, and then they quietly patched it, and then I got no credit. Because unlike Ubisoft, who, when they go, okay, person has a point, that was just a mistake. And they get no fucking credit for going, yeah, okay, we fucked up there. Naughty Dog will not admit they're wrong. CDPR will not admit they're wrong. They'll change shit, but they won't admit they're wrong. Except Cyberpunk, they had to. But when they goof on content, they will not accept criticism. UB will. And people, I think Ubisoft has to accept less criticism because it's hurting their business. I think that's sort of their corporate low self-esteem. But I will take erring on the side of a little too much over nothing. No, we're going to acknowledge nothing. Fuck that bitch. Right? Get them. I mean, Naughty Dog just lets their fans harass people to the point that, like, Russian bots were getting in on that shit. The minute 9 o'clock in Siberia rolled around, I started getting this bullshit. That's not the sign of someone who believes in something. That is the sign of people who feel so terrible inside that they have to tear something down. Don't be that person. Now, why? Well, despite what a lot of people believe, you don't have to be terribly good looking. You don't have to have a lot of money. You don't have to be the smartest guy in the room. In fact, don't be. You have to be someone somebody wants to be around. And no one wants to be around someone who constantly is, like, insecure and shitting on everything. And the one thing I thought, in episode 3 of Adolescence, there's obviously they just copy pasted things from, like, manosphere sites into that kid's dialogue, and it was kind of hacky. But when this 13-year-old kid is calling himself ugly, it's heartbreaking. And I realized that, yeah, that is the way those forums talk. And they probably heard it from sources close to them, not just some mean girl in school. Some parent or someone who was supposed to protect them talked to them that way. You're ugly, you're stupid, you're worthless. And they internalize that, and they think everybody has to take that because that's what people who want to help you say to you. And so they think they're ugly. And so they turn it around and fling it at women because for some odd reason, they think women are to blame for messages they're getting very close to home. And hey, maybe it was their mothers that said, you're ugly and worthless. I don't know. But it usually doesn't come from the outside. I know that my body image issues did not originally come from men. It came from my family. The obvious shame my mother felt from having a kid that was fat. I knew it. And so when kids in my school called me that really hurt. Calling me weird didn't really bother me. Oh, you're a nerd didn't really bother me. But that one, because I knew it brought shame to my mother for having a daughter who was less than super gorgeous. My sister was the cute one. That one made me feel so bad about myself that, I'm not saying that a single source or a couple of sources caused the fact that I had an eating disorder as a teenager and I struggle with certain things to this day. But it certainly didn't help. And it was certainly one route. And I had to accept that to overcome it. And that's why now when people are like, she's ugly, they're woke, ugly, 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 ugly. Stop. It doesn't matter. And you are telling on yourself. You are making it clear that when you are trying to go to sleep at night, that's the way you talk to yourself. Because if you didn't, you'd know you don't need to say it. A truly unattractive person knows they're not attractive. And most people who actually are kind of attractive still don't have great opinions about their own appearance because the bar is so high. And you don't have to add to that. People want to be around someone who brings things better, makes things better, focuses on your positives, doesn't dwell on your negatives. If you're getting in your own way, yeah, absolutely. They'll say something to you carefully, respectfully, right? But if someone around you is being constantly critical, that friend is probably driving other people away from you too. Because I had a very interesting conversation with some women last week who said they check to see how a guy's friends behave. And if they are edgelords or they are digs, that's it. The guy is not getting a chance. Because if those are his friends, he probably believes something that they say. And even 20% of what they're talking about is too much. So I'm going to do something very stupid. This is a 12th Doctor Sonic Screwdriver. And we are just going to zap, right, your low self-esteem. And you're going to feel better right now. Ready? The doctor fixes people. There you go. Now that was silly, right? But who cares? It was a little bit of fun on something really, really heavy, right? That's all you have to do. You don't have to take everything so damn seriously. In fact, to improve self-esteem, you have to take everything a lot less seriously. 98% of things that happen into your life, I guarantee you, are a less big deal than you think. I guarantee you, especially the bad stuff. Help support this channel. Become a monthly patron, patreon.com/Leanna K, or buy a one-time Leanna Care session for someone who can use it but can't afford it, coffee.com/Leanna K. Thanks for watching. Manly Mondays.